Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank everybody for finding time to attend this ceremony, which is going to be a very short one, but should be impactful to all of us. And for us, we have started this as part of a Providence journey. We have also embarked on providing funding support to our customers that are into renewable energy and recycling of plastics as well. And this we are taking very seriously.
The significance of what Providence is doing this afternoon may not quite be well captured here, but outside, you have sent a message to the business world. We were doing it alone as an initiative, using personal resources and little grants that we get from here and there. But we are glad that a bank saw what we are doing, and we are now coming into partnership to do this together. It makes us go further and further in a faster way. So what we thought we could achieve in 10 years, in the decade of restoration, we could actually cover it maybe in 5 or 6 years. So partnerships like this will help solve this challenge of climate change.
Today we are launching Nigeria's first eco-friendly debit card, and we are proud to call it the Providence Eco. One major feature of the Providence Eco is that for every card you acquire, a tree is planted on your behalf.
Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop.
I thank everybody for finding time to attend this ceremony, which is going to be a very short one, but it should be impactful to all of us. And for us, we have started this as part of a Providence journey. We have also embarked on providing funding support to our customers that are into renewable energy and recycling of plastics as well. And this we are taking very seriously.
The significance of what Providence is doing this afternoon may not quite be well captured here, but outside, you have sent a message to the business world. We were doing it alone as an initiative, using personal resources and little grants that we get from here and there. But we are glad that a bank saw what we are doing, and we are now coming into partnership to do this together. It makes us go further and further in a faster way. So what we thought we could achieve in 10 years, in the decade of restoration, we could actually cover it maybe in 5 or 6 years. So partnerships like this will help solve this challenge of climate change.
Today we are launching Nigeria's first eco-friendly debit card, and we are proud to call it the Providence Eco. One major feature of the Providence Eco is that for every card you acquire, a tree is planted on your behalf.
Story blooms over 2 decades ago in a humble university dorm room where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chime, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for innovation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago in a humble university dorm room where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chime, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for innovation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago in a humble university dorm room where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chime, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for innovation. So go ahead, Flip that switch. Build that business. Scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us. And what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new. Because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch. Build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us. And what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new. Because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch. Build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us. And what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new. Because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch. Build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us. And what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new. Because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch. Build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us. And what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new. Because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, Flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our
everyone to this September occasion. It's actually a first. It's a first, and it's a first of this kind that's happened in this period, especially in the era where we're experiencing superior financial inclusion in the digital economy of Nigeria. This event tagged Tokenization Launch, put together by very, very strong industry leaders. Providus Bank. Providus, put your hands together for yourself. Do we have people from Providus here? Where are the Providus Bank people? All right, Providus Bank happens to be one of my favorites. They are a bank that's actually very focused and keen on improving the digital economy, providing a platform for a lot of fintechs to actually leverage. I've been a first-hand experience to see engagements, to oversee engagements within this bank and the different fintechs and OFIs that we have in the industry. Also, I'll also have to recognize MasterCard and Thales, who happen to put your hands together for them, who happen to be foreign partners, collaborators, and they've actually focused on Africa and Nigeria economy, especially to see how they can provide technology, provide infrastructure for the payment services, and see how it can thrive as well. And also, no other than our very own IntoSwitch. Put your hands together for IntoSwitch as well. IntoSwitch, a company that never stops vibing, a company that never stops innovating, a company that never stops creating an enabling environment for the digital economy in Nigeria to thrive, putting the searchlight from Nigeria to the world. And of course, no other than every single person in this place that have come to for this event. I want to appreciate every one of you. You guys are the most fashionable people I'm seeing today. Put your hands together for yourselves. I mean, you guys put the biz in being bright and beautiful. Can you look at someone sitting next to you and say, thank you for being bright and beautiful this day? I mean, put your hands together for yourselves. I mean, you guys are looking good. The brightness of the smiles, energy in the room is pretty interesting. All right. So we get to the crux of the event today. I have a long list here of people to recognize, but in no particular order. We're still waiting for our Providus guys to be here. Where's Larry? Providus Bank. We need you guys here now. Please, can you please get Providus people here? The DMD is available, is around, and we're trying to get them into the auditorium. But while we wait for them to come, I'd like to put your hands together for one of our very good guests, who happens to be here, the person of Carrie Tucker, the Vice President of Customer Solutions Center, East and West Africa, MasterCard. Please, Carrie Tucker, please, where is Carrie? Please, Carrie, can you please come forward, please? All right. All right, keep it rolling, keep it rolling. They say ladies first. Thank you very much. Okay, meanwhile, Carrie is seated here. I am waiting for the other people to show up. Please, ushers, can you get the guests into the venue, because we need to move on. But I'll just, in no particular order, just witness the names of people who will be recognized in here today. We have in our midst today Kingsley Agbohevo, the DMD of Providus Bank. He's here. He's making his way down. We have the Deputy Head of Commercial Banking, Rita Amine. Is Rita Amine here? Okay, we have in this place also Frank Atat. That's the Group Head of E-Business for Providus Bank. We have Noelum Izinwa. That's the Group Head of Emerging Corporates. We also have in our midst today Victor Ogongo. That's the Group Head of Large Corporates. We have Chukuma Wachuku, Group Head of Treasury Services. And Olugbile Erinwusi, Chief Risk Officer, all for Providus Bank. Please, Providus staff, let's have these people here. Larry, please, let's have them here. I'd like to quickly just run through the other guests we have from IntoSwitch. In no particular order, we have Jonah Adams. Jonah Adams is the MD of Sistigra Business Division at IntoSwitch. He's also going to be gracing us presence here. Several group heads from different business units at IntoSwitch are also here. We have Olubumi Aino, who's the group head of sales and account management for PurePay Business Division at IntoSwitch. Benjamin Ashienku, please, did I get your name right? Benjamin Ashienko is the group head of implementation and delivery for Pure Pay Business Division at InterSwitch. I have Ikechukwu Ugu, who's the group head of growth marketing at InterSwitch. I have Babatunde Okufi, group head of business development at Pure Pay Business Division at InterSwitch. We have Olufemi Davis, who's the group head of product development at Pure Pay InterSwitch. Olarwaju Basamta, group head of MFS Sisigra InterSwitch. Oh, we have our guest there, Frank. Hello, Frank. Put your hands together for. Okay, so we have here the DMD, Mr. Kingsley Agbohebo. Thank you very much, sir. You can have your seat. Jonah Adams. Frank. Okay. Okay. All right. So I actually went through introducing you while you were coming down. These are the names of the people that I called earlier. So they are here in person. Please put your hands together for them one more time. Femi, Sunil Okufi. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's so many names here. I may not be able to go through all at this moment, but as we go on, I'm sure we'll recognize every other person that's here. All right. Okay. So the event has started officially, and okay. So for Providus Bank, Providus Bank will be giving like a welcome address for the tokenization events. Let me welcome all of you here once again. And is Mr. Walter here? He's not here yet. Would you be taking it, sir? All right, thank you very much. So put your hands together for the DMD Providus Bank as its welcome address. Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, let me try and correct him. Maybe once I'm Mr. President, you do not know how to pronounce my surname properly, then I have to deport you. Probably to Rwanda. So it's pronounced Agbohaivo. Right, okay. I want to stand on already existing protocols. I know we really don't have so much time, so I'll just quickly take the MD's remark. Unfortunately, he's not here, but I'm sure before the program ends, if you join us. Quickly, let me welcome everyone to our flagship, to one of our flagship branches. And if you all take a look at where we are, I'm sure you know that's actually quite befitting. Most of the branches, well, I've been in the industry for almost 30 years, not because I'm in Providus, but I can tell you that we're actually leading the pack when it comes to, yes. So once it comes to branch and branding of your work. So quickly, we're gathered here to witness the dawn of a new era in payment solutions in Nigeria. Technology has been at the fore of ushering breakthrough inventions in the financial services space. I do not make any attempt to preach to the choir here, as I'm sure that InterSwitch, MasterCard, and Tails have earned numerous accolades with the work they've done in bringing revolutionary solutions to the sector, both locally and internationally. Today, together with Providus Bank, InterSwitch, MasterCard, and Tails believe that tokenization in Nigeria is the next step in the innovative solutions of payment, an evolution that seeks to offer the customer a significant improvement in both security and convenience. The tokenization solution that will launch today offers Providus customers a more secure and seamless checkout experience when they shop online and visit their favorite restaurants and grocery stores. It also presents a more hygienic option, especially when juxtaposed to the current transaction process at any merchant POS and in the wake of the pandemic. As a merchant, tokenization allows for better record keeping, facilitates faster payments, delivering your customers better satisfaction. This option also presents merchants as forward-thinking and innovative in the eyes of their customers. Remember, optics are very important to sales. It's also an eco-friendly option, as card and POS machines production will be greatly reduced. This continues our mission in incorporating environmentally sustainable practices in banking. As with any new technology, the responsibility rests on us to educate and onboard our customers and merchants. In that regard, let me assure you that we are more than equal to the task, and I'm confident that our partnership will achieve just this objective. I also wish to thank our partners for making this tokenization project finally a product. MasterCard, as one of our partners, you are known for your unparalleled vision of the future of payments, which is equally matched by your tenacity in bringing to life. InterSwitch as well, for your ability to consistently deliver breakthrough technologies in the payment space in the sub-Saharan Africa. Worthy of the laurels that you've received as well. Tails, for your world-renowned digital expertise that have been truly instrumental in developing this groundbreaking and game-changing solution. Together, we have played our part in driving Nigeria towards a cashless economy and also spurred on the growth of digital payments. Once again, I welcome you all and look forward to the successful story of pioneering innovation, tokenization, which we heralded in for Nigeria and Nigerians as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. No, don't skip. Don't let it keep on. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Thank you very much. All right. So we'll go to the next point of the event. I'd like to call on the MD, Sistagra, Business Division at InterSwitch. Put your hands together for Mr. Jonah Adams as he comes to give the remarks.
Good morning, everyone. I will just follow the steps of my Oga and try and keep it short and quick. Okay. In terms of protocol, CEO, MD, Providus Bank, ably represented by the DMD, our partners and our friends, Microsoft, Thales, and the gentlemen of the press. I think, as I was coming here, one of the questions you ask yourself is, where's the right place to start? Okay? The right place to start is to look back a bit, okay, and then take an anchor on the ambition of Providus Bank. Okay? 20 years ago, what you would call FinTech 1.0 started. Okay? And FinTech 1.0 was built on the back of InterSwitch, building a real-time online payment infrastructure that the industry leveraged. Okay? At the start of FinTech 1.0, Providus was not around, but towards the end of FinTech 2.0, which is where mobile, in-apps, and all the rest came on board and became the primary way to do transactions, Providus appeared. Now, what is interesting about Providus' appearance that a lot of people are not aware of? Providus came, and they were very clear about their vision and their ambition. They were very clear that they wanted to be a future-forward banking entity. And I will tell you, based on the data that we know, if you look at innovation that has come into the industry in terms of powering FinTech, in the last 5 years of FinTech 2.0, Providus was at the heart of that evolution. Now, for us at InterSwitch, what we always look for is opportunity to co-create. Okay? So we'd like to take this opportunity to very well, from the bottom of our heart, thank the management of Providus Bank for giving us the opportunity to co-create with you in FinTech 2.0. It's not every time that you see an organization that is willing to open up their customer base, their tech, their vision, their strategy, and allow you as a partner to plug in. Okay? Also like to use this opportunity to thank MasterCard. We've worked very well with MasterCard in the last 15 years. We've enjoyed some very interesting partnerships. We are the largest processing partner in the market today. So we do enjoy those collaborations with MasterCard. And the same thing with Thales. We've been Thales partners for over 20 years now. Thales is the #1 market leader when it comes to identity and security around the world. They own that space. So what we've done as 4 organizations is to collaborate to give you what you have today. Okay? Now, as a bank, what are we talking about? I will leave technicalities to my colleague, but I'd like to talk about the business side. What does tomorrow look like? What does the future of forward banking look like? Based on the capabilities that Providus has acquired now, okay, for those of us that know, it means that all of Providus customers have now been enabled to achieve a level of what you call protection that is not available anywhere in the industry. This particular technology we've put in place working with Providus is the first in West Africa, and we dare say the first in Sub-Saharan Africa. So it's a big, major feat that we've achieved. Now, I was sharing with the DMD, how do we then take this forward, both as a bank, as an industry? Now, you know the way things are in Nigeria. Once you launch, every other person comes after you. But to put it in perspective, this capability now allows Providus, 1, to fully and effectively protect their customers. So the issues around fraud, cyber security, tokenization of customer data, protecting against breaches, NDPR, all that they've taken care of. But the question is, how do we make money from this? For those of you that understands Apple Pay ambition and vision, remember they're now converting the phone to both a payment instrument and a merchant acquiring capability. That is what Providus has brought to the market. So expectantly, I expect Providus working with us as partners to transform both the payment space and the merchant acquiring space. Okay? We're looking forward to executing on some of these ideas. But what is really interesting is the fact that in the future, a lot of the things that would drive transactions is not humans, it's machines. They call them connected devices. This capability that Providus has acquired is at the heart of connected devices. If you think it's not going to happen here, where your fridge will place order, your meter will top up, your car will buy this, you will buy that. MTN just launched 5G. What they are providing to us is high-speed internet that allows tokenization and connected devices to begin to do transactions at the speed of thought. So you think about it, Providus is standing at the threshold of that kind of innovation. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity. One of the things I was asking myself is, if I was to describe Providus, how would I describe Providus? And I'm about to wrap up now. For those of you that are fans of Game of Thrones or House of Dragon, I will describe Providus as the House of Dragons. Providus is a very visionary entity. So in terms of visionary, they've always, from the beginning, known that they would not play like every other person. It's not about 4,000 branches. It's about how do I leverage digital technology to transform banking. They've done it in FinTech 2.0. We're entering FinTech 3.0. They are positioning to enable the next set of innovations to happen. Okay? The second thing beyond visionary is, I will say they are daring. Like we say in Warri, you not get as it be. We dey here. And it doesn't matter whether we meet at the roundabout. I don't know if you get the joke. So it doesn't matter who we meet at the roundabout, we'll deal with them. Okay? And the last one is, and I think Providus is sexy. Again, I went upstairs to the branch upstairs, and it's the kind, and it connects. So again, from where we sit as InterSwitch, we're very proud to be part of this, and we're looking forward to doing business and enjoying the partnership. Thank you.
Put your hands together for Jonah Adams. Thank you very much. I think Jonah has said it all. All right. Before we go on to the next point, I want to quickly just acknowledge some people here. Mr. Akin Jones, that's the MD of Ayla Credit. Is Ayla here? Is he still here? Akin Jones. We still have, thank you very much for that. Also, we have Sulosh Raja, the CFO of Now Now. He's also here. We have Somto Chukwu Sofor from Minting Bank. We also have, Martha Opeke from MediaCraft as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'd like to call on our next speaker, Carrie Tucker. Put your hands together for Carrie Tucker as she comes to give her acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. It's still morning. I think Jonah has pretty much said everything that I had to say, but I'd like to observe all protocols. From the highly esteemed officials here today to the ladies and gentlemen of the media, I really do extend my gratitude to you all for making time out of your very busy schedules to be here at a very, very important occasion. But before I continue, I want to acknowledge our key partners who have really helped us in bringing this to life. I'd like to recognize the Managing Director and the CEO of Providence Bank, ably represented by the DMD, the Managing Director of InterSwitch, PurePay, the VP of Sales, Banking and Payments at Talis Group, who really have shown good faith in helping us implement what we see to be the next click in digital commerce and digital payment revolution in Nigeria. We are indeed very proud to launch Tap to Pay service in Nigeria. And we believe that this partnership really edges us towards achieving our mission, which is to deliver seamless and safe digital commerce in the market. We know that payment is at the heart and at the core of the digital evolution globally. It's powering new economies, it's powering new products, it's powering new channels, and it's really changing how we all interact with one another. Over the past few years, we've noticed that there's been a surge in digital commerce. Some may attribute that to COVID-19, which has required for people to interact in a manner that is touchless and with little or no contact. But I would say that beyond COVID-19, and as Jonah had rightfully mentioned earlier, I think there's been an acceleration of different types of technology that has really attributed to the growth of digital commerce, from 5G to the Internet of Things to artificial intelligence. And some might even argue that as these technologies begin to integrate and converge, payment will fall in the background where your fridge will start to place orders and your meters will start to top up. And that really brings excitement in the world of payments. We've seen these technologies being deployed in other areas of our lives, like drone technology, the way that we use Alexa today. And we're starting to see that deployment happening in payments. We know that customers clearly want to make payments wherever, whenever, however. And our job is to make sure that we enable that environment for it to be safe and to be seamless and to be easy, most importantly. At MasterCard, we understand this, and we understand the sentiments around not just the ease and the convenience of payments, but really the security that comes with digital payments. I think for many years, we've all done a great job in the industry to get that confidence up with card payments. Many years ago, people would say, no, if I put my card in the POS, I put my card in the ATM, they can steal my money. And we've done a lot of sensitization around getting comfortable with making card payments. Now, this is the next click. How do we make people even that much more comfortable with digital payments? So understanding the sentiments, we've gone ahead to, power what we call the MasterCard Digital Enablement Service for short. We call it MDES. and is the engine that powers what we're launching today, which is a Tap to Pay produced by Providus Bank. And essentially what MDES does is really creating that security feature on our connected device. So today we might say phone. Tomorrow it could be a ring. It could be any sort of wearable device or any connected device, basically. And what MDES does is that, or should I say tokenization? Let me use that word. Tokenization essentially allows consumers to replace their 16-digit PAN or 16-digit card number with a very unique and dynamic token. And that token then is used for payment processing. Now, why is this important? It's important because, number one, Providus has launched the PANless card, which means a cardless, the numberless card, some might call it. If I drop my card on the table somewhere, it's no use to fraudsters. You want to take that experience into the online environment as well. If I put my card details, my funding card details on a website that is not secure, then I may compromise my card details. But with a tokenized payment instrument, it means that your card details are protected because what is submitted is actually a token, a dynamic token that is put in a vault, and only those who have the key to unlock that vault can actually process that payment. So it really is a revolution in payment technology and payment securitization. And I think beyond just the security feature that comes with tokenization is the experience. A lot of us have been to more developed markets where consumers are now using their phones and connected devices to make payment, just tap and pay. And it really brings so much joy to my heart to know that we're actually going to be able to realize that in Nigeria, thanks to Providus, InterSwitch, and Thales. As simple as the customer experience is, there is a lot of complexity in the background. And it only is when you partner with visionaries like Providus, like Thales, InterSwitch, and work together with organizations like this that we're able to really realize the true value of the digital evolution, technological evolution, and deliver what is essentially a secure and interoperable payment platform. Without this collaboration, it will not be possible to deliver this sort of experience. And I, on behalf of MasterCard, am very proud to have worked with esteemed partners like yourself to bring this vision to life and to pioneer the next generation of digital innovation in Nigeria. Together, we will create new beginnings, we will create new experiences, and we will work together to accelerate digital transformation and speed up Nigeria's journey to becoming a truly cashless economy. Thank you very much and have a lovely day.
Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for Carrie once more. You know, what's more exciting about this event today is I'm a sci-fi buff, and growing up, I used to watch a lot of sci-fi movies. And it's pretty interesting that things that we used to see then in those movies is coming to a reality now. That's what we're seeing today. That's one of the most outstanding things, and I'm very happy that it's happening in my time, and I'm seeing it happen. And it's even happening in Nigeria. You used to think it only happened in space. Then it was space in 1999, those kind of movies you used to watch then. But now it's happening in Nigeria. So people call it Nigeria 2022. So put your hands together for yourselves for experiencing this time in technology. All right, so thanks everyone that have given their remarks and the introduction to what we're having here today. We'll be seeing a video of how these things work. So I want you to put your attention to the screen right behind me, and while we show you a video of how tokenization works and also tap to pay. Thank you very much and enjoy viewing.
Gaia is on her weekly run when her husband calls her. His mother is around and wants to drop by for dinner because she loves Gaia's cooking. Gaia could pass by the store, but sadly she didn't bring her wallet. The next day, she discovers a small niche brand online that sells yoga pants. Gaia is eager to buy them, but putting in all her credit card credentials takes too much time, and she's worried about card fraud. That evening, she wants to watch a feel-good movie on her favorite subscription channel. Why doesn't it work? It's a shared account with her brother, and it appears his card is expired. Her Sunday evening is ruined. How can Gaia prevent all of this from happening again? With MDES, a complete set of services which allows card issuers and their customers to digitize their MasterCard, replacing a card's primary account number or PAN with a secure digital token and a cryptographic key, giving issuers and their customers the power to make digital payments anywhere, anytime, and using any device. And merchants don't need to worry about declines at checkout because payment details are always up to date, secure, convenient, and under control. Gaia's card details are now digitized into her digital wallet and smartwatch. She feels secure because the image on her phone has her trusted issuer and MasterCard brands. Gaia is walking the dog when her husband calls her to see if she can buy food for lunch. She quickly stops by the store. She didn't bring her wallet, but can pay with her phone. It's a contactless NFC payment powered by MDES. Then jumps in the subway using her watch to pay. Easy, thanks to MDES. Later that day, she needs to buy new yoga supplies and pants. She used to put it off because it took too long to fill in the payment information. Good thing she signed up to Click to Pay with her issuer's banking app. She can now pay in just a few clicks with confidence, and she's no longer worried about her card details being stolen because she's now making a secure payment tokenized by MDES. Finally, an evening alone. Her brother's stored payment details are now tokenized, continually updated and secure with MDES. Gaia asks her home assistant to order Chinese and to take care of the payment. Easy with MDES. Working behind the scenes, MDES puts consumers in control and provides a secure and convenient payment experience anywhere and on any device.
Thank you. Did you enjoy that? Okay. So we're moving to the next part of the event, and I'll be inviting some people up to the stage. I'm sure you can see the white seats. And anytime you see the white seats, I'm trying to get information from behind. All right. So every time you see the white seats, you know what's going to happen next. It's lots of talk and questionings and just clarity on what's going on in the industry. So I'll be calling a few people up on stage. While I call them, I'll introduce them, and then we can take it up from there. Okay, so I'll start from the familiar. Okay, or let me start from our host. All right, so here's it. This individual is a fintech professional who operates at the confluence of design, finance, and technology, skilled at creative problem solving and in delivering rapid and sustainable impact. He has a track record as a leader who thrives on inspiring and developing talent and in bringing disruptive and innovative solutions to market. Let me not list all the history about him, but I've not put this one more thing about him that says that he has a strong affiliation with super agent banking operators like Innovectives, InterSwitch, and so on, and a networking strength with most fintech players, Flutterwave, Paystack, Reebee, Wallets, and so on. I'd like to introduce to you no other than our very own, from Providence Bank, Frank Katat. Put your hands together for Frank. Frank, please, you can sit down here. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't blow your trumpet too much. He wasn't expecting this, by the way, so it's not scripted. All right. Okay, the next panelist that we're having here right now is a full-stack business development professional and enthusiast with over 15 years of experience in the spheres of banking, consulting, payments, and information technology. Creates long-term value wherever he goes, and is adept at taking ideas from concepts all the way through to revenue. Let me finish his introduction by saying that he's a highly effective and result-oriented business manager who thrives in fast-paced and challenging environments, building and leading high-performing teams in the process. Put your hands together for Babatunde Okufe from IntoSwitch. Please have a seat. Like I told you, it's not scripted, so they're not expecting this introduction. Do you know that's about you? Do you know you're the one I was talking about? All right. Okay, let me introduce one more person. I hope he's in the building. I haven't seen him, though. I know everybody's wondering who now, right? Now, this individual is a digital and banking strategy enthusiast and customer experience professional. He has years and years of experience in the financial industry. He's worked in places like Zenith Bank, GT Bank, Echo Bank, and today he's in MasterCard. So I'm introducing no other than our very own Peter. Is Peter around? Were you expecting that as well? By the way, I'm meeting Peter for the first time, so yeah, they'll be my panelists for today while we're going to the panel discussion. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicholson. You can do your history and do your payback later. All right. Okay, so I'm going to have a seat here. Okay, so the conversation today is about cybersecurity in the financial industry. All right. And if you noticed, while the tokenization video was going on, one of the challenges I was faced there was security. And it's one of the things that tokenization brings to the market. But before we go into details of that, we know how well the financial industry is doing currently. We can see that there's an average of... Okay, thank you. A survey was done, I think in 2020, where currently we have an average of 45 out of, adults, about 45% of adults already have accounts with banks. We can see what's happening, but the Apex Bank is pushing financial inclusion. And today we can see how it's thriving. Digital economy in Nigeria is becoming one of the fastest growing ventures that's happening currently. We know that out of the 7 unicorns we have in Africa, Nigeria actually has provided 5 of them. We know what's going on with the issue of financial inclusion, whereby OFIs and fintechs are able to even issue cards now, thanks to Providus leading the trail in that as well. And we can see all the things that are going on in the market. However, there's still the threats of security. Hackers and all sorts still happening out there. So maybe before we just throw this question to my banking professional here, Frank. What can you say currently is the landscape of the financial industry right now, looking at what's happening currently?
Thanks, Mr. No Name. But you're right, and thank you for the background and the insight you provided. And I think for everybody else, one of the key reasons why we had to embark on this is further strengthening the comfort that comes with card transaction. Today in the industry, just like you reel out those data, it's not too grim, but cyber threat is on the rise. And it was even worse during COVID, because then there was nobody to really keep an eye on how transactions were evolving and going on. So what industry practitioners have done so far is to key into a lot of the cyber tools available to track transactions on card. And I think where tokenization will play a significant part is the fact that you now know that you can close your 2 eyes and do your transactions with rest. And this is what Providus Bank is bringing into the industry. And I believe that as we move forward
the issue around transaction validations, transaction seamlessly happening will also be quickly addressed. So that, again, we can take care of all the issues around cyber threat. Because we know that significantly we will see growth in transaction volume when people are very comfortable with doing transaction without worrying about what will happen, whether their transaction will be hijacked. So the industry today is keeping an eye on that and taking some significant position around how transactions can be protected, and collaborating with all the players in the ecosystem. We see a significant and positive, awareness being created for transaction in the industry when it comes to, e-commerce and all other merchant processing transaction. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Frank. So just a follow-up question to that. I like the fact that you already started talking on what I'm about to ask now. So can you just let's highlight the issue of fraud in the financial services industry as a result of market expansion in the financial services?
It's, I don't want to call it, but because of the need to aggressively grow, aggressively include a lot of other players in the industry, we've seen a situation where transactions are expanded beyond the capacity for which those things are made for us. Therefore, that again has also come with its own threats, meaning that people have taken advantage of the gaps and the loopholes in the industry to try to perpetuate a lot of fraud. So we see transactions happening offline, and by the time they come online, those transactions have been hijacked. We've seen transactions happening at merchant location, but never getting to the switch. We've seen transactions, we've seen players who didn't really take care of due process in terms of expansion, suffering from significant losses because insider-related fraud happens, and then those areas that needs to be looked after are not. As a result of that, the issue of cyber crime and cyber threat has gone up. So as an industry, I think what we then need to do now is come together. And I think that is happening maybe in a smaller group. In some areas, there are key participants taking charge in terms of the processes that needs to be adopted. But the way I see it, I think this is the time where everybody then needs to come together to have a standard where it's possible to then report this crime and then significantly reduce the number of interaction that comes with the level of transactions that happen. Again, let me just use this opportunity to emphasize the need for significant collaborations between players, because what we have today is our silos participation, where people are taking care of only their own house and forgetting that together as a community, we can address the threat around cybercrime. And I think this is where InterSwitch, MasterCard, and even Providus needs to take a significant leap towards addressing those concerns.
Great. Thank you very much. Before we move, yes, you can go ahead and put your hands together for Frank. Before we move to the next question, I noticed someone just walked in, the CFO of Providus Bank, Mr. Dirio Juroye. Thanks for coming. It's always good to see you, sir. Thank you very much. All right, so my next question, Tunde, this is for you. Okay. All right, so based on what Frank was talking about, as mentioned, and what he clarified and gave highlights on, what would you say are the roles and responsibilities of various players, customers, players, banks, many players, banks, fintechs, regulators? What's their role in curbing this issue of fraud? What do we think will be their different roles?
All right. Thanks, Nicholson, and thanks for the question. So as relates to fraud, I think we've all said it. We said it here today. Frank alluded to it as well. Cashless transactions will continue to grow. I think there's a report that says that by 2030, cashless transactions would have doubled from where we are today. Now, a lot of that is even driven by consumer behavior. So it's not even a case of whether we in the industry want it or not. You only need to look at the effects of COVID recently and how that's driving consumer behavior. So the industry has to adapt. Now, what are the things that we're doing, to adapt? Because as transaction numbers continue to grow, clearly fraud will grow because fraudsters also innovate. That's a very fundamental and key part of our industry. Fraudsters innovate. So if you're a service provider and you're a participant within that industry, you need to innovate as well. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're implementing things like this. So typically, how has the industry dealt with and or managed fraud? On one level, you put rules in place. You say, these are the velocity limits. You can take X amount at over the course of a day. You need to authorize or authenticate your transaction with a PIN. That's one level. Then there are other levels and say, okay, let's use platforms to track these rules in a dynamic manner. Then you have your fraud, tools and platforms that you have. And some of them or many of them even now leverage on neural networks or AI and machine learning to track trends and say, if we see this type of behavior, it's likely fraud, let's stop it. Now, the thing with that is it's very effective, but, once in a while you still find things, that slip through because it's trying to deal with those things, those transactions in flight, right? What tokenization does is that it's trying to deal with fraud and protecting card transactions on a more fundamental level. Saying how do we even secure it, before the transaction is in flight. And one of the key elements, as has been said, is that today, without tokenization, card transactions are transmitted I don't want to say in the clear, but PANs are transmitted. And those details can be captured and then used. But tokenization substitutes that with a token. And if there's any compromise, the token can easily be, replaced and refreshed without, compromising the underlying card itself. So those are the kind of things. So, those are the, there's a lot more than that, but those are, key areas in terms of how the industry deals with fraud. And as you notice through that, there's been evolution. Fraudsters innovate, we also need to innovate. So I like to describe tokenization in many different, one of the key ways I like to say tokenization helps us future-proof card payments, right? And layers on a lot of convenience around that so that people are, you saw the video, the description video there. You didn't see anyone hold a plastic, as you're familiar with the card there, but transactions were going on, and those are still on traditional card rails. So you're evolving and innovating on that, and that's what we've done as an industry, and those are the things that players will do. And I'm sure there's a lot more innovation down the line.
Thank you, Tunde. Thank you. Yes, we're looking forward to more innovation in the future. I'll be coming back to you, Tunde. I have another question for you. But before I come, let me take on Peter now. I don't want him to feel alone. Okay, so, all right, Peter. So MasterCard is globally known for its consciousness about customer and ecosystem safety and security. How does the MasterCard tokenization and digitization ensure safety for stakeholders?
Thank you. I just want to say, Femi has made my job a lot easier with his definitions. But just to put some thought to it, what we at MasterCard, how we like to approach security is as a positive risk in order for us to remove the frictions from transactions. We are very passionate about digitization, so what that does for us with the technologies that we have and the span that we have around the world, it enables us to be able to layer solutions to proactively predict and in most cases prevent those threat actors from actually coming up. So from the identity, from actually when the customer is trying to do the transaction, being able to predict the patterns of behavior that the customer uses to log in using digital first, Ekata, or any of those tools. to the transaction itself, understanding the patterns, the volume, value, and other things that the customer does using artificial intelligence. And then being able to understand these patterns, coming to remove, using MDES and other authentication methods, reduce the amount of friction that comes into those transactions. And all over the world, we are enabling these trends as MasterCard. What we've also been able to do, to your point, Frank, is we believe that there should be industry collaboration in the detection of frauds. So it's not just about using the AI to prevent, it's also being able to trace these transactions and reduce the recovery time. So one of the things we are very passionate about as MasterCard that we've been able to activate in so many other countries all over the world, with Europol and so many others, is to trace and prevent those fraudulent transactions. What happens in the industry today is that banks are working individually to try and get court orders to recover funds. And before they can even recover the funds that they see in their purview, the money is gone. Meanwhile, that may have been a mule attack that has affected probably 5,000 other accounts. So why don't we as an industry put the technology in place that will enable us to track and identify where all those funds are and simultaneously use one technology, one court order to immediately recover, identify the mule pattern and recover those funds. So I think these are some of the things that we as the industry can do to partner. And then it's not just recovering it on an account-to-account or a card basis. It's also looking at the endpoints. We see a lot of these funds go into cryptocurrencies, into blockchains. And what we've been able to do as an ecosystem, as MasterCard, is to demystify those transactions. So blockchain as a technology is not a ghost land. It's something that technology can enable you to track, de-anonymify, and actually find out where those threat actors have dropped those funds. And it goes beyond that. So once you remove the fear of that, you can now begin to talk about opportunities of using blockchain to actually automate and increase efficiency in different sectors of the economy, the stock exchange and other sectors. And then that becomes a form of FDI which we can adapt. So with whether it's with CipherTrace or any other product, MasterCard is able to provide this assistance. And Providus has been very, very instrumental. Whenever we want to test any new technology, Providus is one of the first partners I call. I just want to call out Lanre for some of the things that we've done together. And we look forward to continue to do some of those things together. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I can also attest to what Providus has been doing. Lanre doing a very good job as well. Okay, now this is a question I'm going to ask you, Peter. And I'm coming to you from an industry understanding of what's going on. So we all know that the digital economy is, the infrastructure for it basically is on its, the technology being accessible, affordable, open and safe, right? So my next question is safety and security concerns, right? Because you talked about blockchain and all that now, and we all know the challenges that technology is facing, especially in our climate in Nigeria currently. Even though it's something, it's no longer a ghost land, it's something a lot of people are exploring, and we are also exploring to see ways whereby we can use to improve the payments industry. So my question is this: safety and security concerns almost always make the top 3 reasons why people still prefer to use cash over digital channels, right? People still prefer to use cash, not only because Providus Bank's ATMs give you mint. I had to say that. There was a time I drove all the way to this branch just to look for mint, the ATM, all right? Okay, so let me say this again. Safety and security concerns almost always make the top 3 reasons why people still prefer to use cash over digital channels. So how is MasterCard addressing this challenge?
Okay, so let me start by borrowing some of my banking history. There's a cost to cash, and it's a financial cost, and it's huge, right? And there's also an opportunity cost of slowing down the ability to actually drive payments forward, which is what we all want to do. As MasterCard, based on our experience, we've been able to change that in some markets. And that's because of what we do. We believe in connected intelligence. So we try to demystify the risk, all right? And we do that, and I'll start by what you said regarding the blockchain, for instance. We work with other governments around the world regarding advisory, regarding whether they want to use their central bank digital currencies or whether they want to go the blockchain route. And in our experience, understanding the technology helps to remove the frictions. A lot of people don't know that digital banking works, unfortunately, till now. A lot of people are afraid that they will be defrauded. A lot of people have not calculated the opportunity cost of the cash financial transactions. So if you see agency banking growing in leaps and bounds, it's because of the convenience that people are beginning to see from those type of transactions. So specifically for the cryptocurrency, we as MasterCard have Cipher Trace. And what we have done is that we've used that technology to provide a kind of visibility into the blockchain technology. So that enables us to be able to connect with so many other virtual asset providers all over the world. And based on that insight, we can trace, we can track, we can develop. So it's not just about the negative risk of tracking a fraud transaction or doing a track or whatever it is, right, to find out who is using what and where those dark web transactions are going. It's also enabling the technology itself and removing friction so that whether it's an NFT or whether it's somebody trying to develop a blockchain-based payment rail, we can enable such transactions, remove friction, and increase transaction efficiency while reducing cost. What connected technology also enables us to do, connected intelligence, is to remove frictions across the chain. And another thing we've discovered is the fraud doesn't start from the payment. It actually starts from the compromise of data. And you'll be surprised. When Target had their fraud in 2014, it wasn't a hacker. The initial data breach started from a third-party vendor who was working on their ACs. And that was where the data was actually compromised before the hacks and the bin attacks started. So what we have done as MasterCard, as a technology company that we are, not just in payments, is to provide any industry, any merchant, any customer, the ability to determine the type of cyber risks that their third-party providers are bringing into the table. Not just to check themselves, but also to check their third-party providers. And that enables them to proactively stop the fraud from happening in the first place by reducing the data component. So we do that with Risk Recon. And then with a lot of our other solutions all around the world, we are able to kind of reduce the friction of digital payments. So I hope I've been able to give you some insight.
Thank you for that. Oh, thank you for that. All right. So, Tony, I'm back to you. Okay. So, taking up from what Peter talked about now, let's look at efforts being put in place to curb the menace. What do you think are the efforts that have been put in place to curb this?
Okay. So I'll take it from a slightly, and I agree with everything that's been said, just a slightly also different, similar but slightly different perspective. Is that what card payment or what payments or cashless payments is contesting against is cash, right? So it needs to be able to replicate the convenience and ease of using cash. So if you have a payment method that is more difficult to use than just bringing money out of your wallet, out of your pocket to pay, then obviously, you're going to have some friction, and not just from the person that's paying, but also from the service provider perspective. Think of cash. Settlement for cash is immediate. As soon as you pay for it, the guy has money in his pocket. As opposed to, telling the guy, oh, use this, and then maybe I'll, give you your money tomorrow, or, then he talks about paying today. So that convenience is, and everyone has said it's very important. But in terms of what you can do, I'll use an example, and you need to pair that. I'm coming from it from the perspective of changing consumer behavior. Okay. Now, some of those changes are internal, some of them are external. Again, we'll mention, lockdown and restrictions due to COVID, forcing consumer behavior to change. And that's why online e-commerce, transactions, e-commerce is, one of the fastest growing areas now, and that was driven by that. But you can also proactively, drive consumer behavior. And I'll use Starbucks as an example, right? So Starbucks deliberately puts in a program or campaign to move their customers from paying with cash to paying with card, right? And they did that by creating, loyalty programs and incentives and saying, okay, look, you get on this is what you get if, you pay with this channel and or not. And they've been very successful with that. To the extent that now that the truth is, in reality, if you look at the amount of deposits, because you need to load, they created a card, you need to load that card and then use it within their store. In effect, Starbucks is a bank in that sense, when you look at the fact that they're holding a lot of deposits. So those are the kind of things that industry people can do, putting in place innovative solutions. The technology is there, and technology exists, but I'm coming at it from the angle of using that technology to drive consumer behavior, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Tune. Frank, you want to say something?
Let me just add a comment, and I think most times this is something we miss. Culturally, we haven't thought about how that drives consumer behavior. Our ecosystem is a bit different, and I always like to see it from that perspective. Cash will continue to remain king until we're able to win that cultural war. And in as much as, COVID drove the behavior or changed the behavior around e-commerce. And then when that was over, cash took over again. Yeah, we see electronic transactions growing astronomically, volumes being high, but down below, which is why we need to continually use technology to also drive inclusion. And I still have to come back to the part where we need to together collaborate to make that happen. Because tokenization should also drive that behavior culturally too. The truth is, for all of us, we want convenience. And we've seen it today where farmers are culturally inclined to use electronic transactions to sell. We've seen that. I don't know if you've seen this Glow advert where somebody is taking a picture of yam, sending it to someone. Those are areas where we can digitalize payment and still tokenize it to be safe. Because for them, like you said, Tunde, safety is about when I get my money back. And they are happy to do transactions without seeing cash, knowing that if he leaves their wallet or leaves their bank account, it comes back. And I think those are critical elements to how fundamentally we can drive payments.
Thanks. Thanks, Frank. And spot on. So specifically, things about when we say we're driving consumer behavior. So technology being in place and putting those things. We need to capture the payments and add that convenience where they interact. So there's something called, and we're all familiar with everyday needs, transportation, right? You need to, go shopping. You need to buy fuel, right? Now, is it easier to pay for that bus ride? You need a solution that makes it easier to pay for that bus ride, right? Contactless and tokenization, tap to go or tap to pay is one such thing. So we need to put these kinds of things in place where it is easier to tap my phone, tap, my watch, whatever it is, or even the card, right? and then you're not dealing with change. Today you pay 500 and they pay you, two of you go together, go and sort out change. But with a solution like this, there's nobody pairing you. So you solve the problem. You've made it better than cash. You see the point? You need to make it better than cash. And you're meeting them in a place where they will see the value and need to use it regularly. So until we take it down to those kind of levels using technology, that's precisely where and how you affect consumer behavior. You meet them at the everyday, needs. And that's something that we need to do here as well. I mean, Nigeria yes, we like to see Nigeria as special and unique, but, we're not that different as well. We're all human beings. And there's certain things that are constant. Yeah.
Peter wants to say something?
So spot on. Just want to ask a question to the audience. When last did anybody here use a physical scratch card? Anybody here? To load your airtime. When was the last time? Literally nobody, right? All right. So what that means is we have successfully moved to digital means of, at least for airtime and bill payments. That culture has shifted because customers have seen the convenience that comes as a result of using, and they trust it, right? So I think the fundamental issue is not culture. The fundamental issue is enabling trust. Once you can enable trust with ease of convenience of transactions, with security in those transactions, customers will shift their behavior towards those things. The technology exists, all right? But we need to do more work together in our ecosystem to actually fast-track that movement. If you go to Kenya today, M-Pesa has been there forever, right? People are digitally making payments. They're not thinking of cash, all right? If you go to Ghana, the Farmers Association are actually using digital payments to collect payments for their crops and actually remit tax to government. That's happening today. It's not rocket science. It's something that we can do, and I'm very, very happy the way we are beginning to see an explosion of agency banking, a liberalization of the PSB space. As we begin to enter those hinterlands, we will work together as an industry to enable technologies like tokenization, MDES, so that those retail customers will become so enamored to these solutions that just the same way we've dropped our scratch cards for USSD and other digital channels, they will also drop cash and move to these channels in the future.
Thank you very much. Put your hands together for them. You guys have done a great job. Even moving into my next line of questions, because I like the fact that there were some use cases, because I was going to ask what use cases can we look at. And each one of you has presented several use cases. I mean, even some ancient ones. I don't even remember scratch card. I mean, that's so long ago. More interesting is what Tunde mentioned now, pairing for change. I mean, that is like a whole generation away. So it's very interesting. So that brings me to Frank. So what next? Providus is being the first again. You weren't here when I was introducing Providus, and I mentioned your attention to seeing the digital economy thrive. A lot of fintechs today are where they are in their, they've been able to leverage with Providus Bank, and they have been able to make their own digital transformation dreams come true, achieve a lot by working with Providus Bank. So now that Providus is launching tokenization into the Nigerian market, which I believe will grow from here to other parts of the world, what next? How do we get to start enjoying this service?
We introduced drones. It's the truth. We'll have drones deliver cards, have drones deliver groceries to households, and it all comes from you sitting at home and making those demands like Jonah is doing right now. It all comes from you speaking to your appliances or connected devices and saying, hey, I need a fridge delivered in the next 5 minutes, and somebody knocks on your door. I mean, we are constantly breaking boundaries. We are constantly making demands on ourselves on how to grow. We started with connecting MasterCard worldwide to all our millions of customers without having a physical store anywhere. So what I will say is, don't switch off the light yet, because who knows, tomorrow we might come up with something different. Tokenization is just a start. For us, we've moved beyond it being the next big thing. For us now, we're thinking how it can enrich lives, how it can impact growth to even our partners. And I believe, like you know, once we start like this, we don't stop. In the next couple of days, there's going to be a few changes in the market. Consumers will feel those changes in forms of demands that will come on them. So, like I said, don't switch off the light. Look out for more. Drones is the next thing.
Thank you very much for that. And I like the fact you said you don't stop. InterSwitch is launching, just launched the hashtag Never Stop to celebrate our 20 years. And picking from that, Tunde, what would you say is the future of financial services, the trends? What should we be looking forward to going forward? I mean, we've launched tokenization. We've brought the future into the present. You know, what trends should we be looking forward to from InterSwitch and even from the industry? What should we be looking out for?
All right. So there are many things that I think will inform and drive innovation into the future. So maybe I'll speak generally about the industry first. From a technology perspective, there's a lot of changes. We know that technology changes rapidly, and the history is there that technological change impacts economic change. Economic change is always followed by technology change, and you only look at the advancement of the steam engine to automobiles. In our time, it's digitization, right? And what does digitization bring? It brings automation and convenience, right? Which is a lot of what it is that we're talking about here, being part of the digital economy, right? So as technology continues to evolve, there'll be advancements and innovation. What are those technology trends? There are a bunch of things. They're in different categories. Some of them are around, computing, so cloud computing, edge computing, that enables things, services that you enjoy today. I think on the explainer was ChillFlex, right? There's IoT, Internet of Things. There's 5G, right? That's, one stack. There's innovation in that regard. There's trust and distributed ledgers, which is blockchain, cryptocurrency. Then there are advancements in application as well. We're moving to programming. I think it's called Programming 2.0, where programs will write programs, right? And then you're talking about, also within there, you're talking about AI, you're talking about things. You're talking about the metaverse. So there are a bunch of different and separate technologies and advancements that are coming together to sort of shape and drive the future that we're referring to, that will, impact things like, cryptocurrencies, that would impact, activities, on the metaverse. And for us in our industry, wherever there's economic activity, there's payments, right? Today you hear people buying land on the metaverse. You only need to look at what big tech is doing and you see the kind of bets that they're making, right? Nobody will just throw in 10 billion to, invest in a particular area, right, for nothing. So if people are buying land in the metaverse, that means there is an exchange of value now. So that means they need banks, right? That means they need payment providers, right? That's where innovation is going. That's where things are going, right? We need to start thinking about that. The concerts that are held entirely in, in the virtual world, where are we? That's the future. Think about now, the time now with Web 3.0, kind of where we are. You need to think about it almost think of Web 1.0 is when, you used all that you could do over a browser was it presented information and text to you. 2.0, you could interact and do things through the browser. So think about a time when Facebook and or Google and or Yahoo launched. It was exciting. Imagine not being part of that then, and it would have seemed far out. We'll never, standing at when Yahoo and Google started, you'd have never known that we'd have landed with TikTok today. Yeah, that's where we are now with 3.0 and the technologies that are available today, right? We can't even begin to fathom, what is into the future, right? And those are the kind of innovations that we're looking, to play and providing. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. So we should start looking forward to Providus Bank branch, Metaverse branch. Thank you very much. By the way, this is being aired online, and I can say that we have an audience online, so acknowledge all our audience online. Thanks for joining. Do we have questions from the audience here before we take on the questions that we have online? Does anybody have a question here? Okay. Don't worry, Mike will get to you now. You can ask your questions. For those who want to ask questions, you can ready your questions as well. So just signify by raising up your hand so you can be seen. All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a great job you guys have.
Tell us your name as well, please.
Oh, okay, sorry. My name is Adebayo Adebola. You all mentioned the imperative of collaboration in the industry. So my question is, what is Providus, InterSwitch, and MasterCard? What exactly are you doing to bring others into the arena in terms of partnerships and collaboration? So that when you talk about security, when you talk about seamlessness, when you talk about convenience, all of these things are easily achieved in the industry. Thanks.
Who wants to go for that? All right, thank you very much, Peter.
There's an old adage that if you want to kill a snake, you have to cut off the head. So from a collaborative point of view, what we as MasterCard in collaboration with Providus Bank and everybody else here does is to have a central think tank to think of how we can collaborate to digitize transactions and, most importantly, to checkmate fraud events. So from a financial sector perspective, we have the Nigerian Economic Fraud Forum, which we are all part of, that enables us to look and have a 360 view of how we can collaborate as an industry to solve for digitization and frauds. As an extension of that, there's also a committee in that forum that has to do with sensitization, which we are all part of, so to ensure that the public is aware of how they can prevent and enable themselves. So we have the cashless Lagos and other things that have been done. We as MasterCard specifically help our customers, our merchants, and our partners in several ways to enable digitization and to ensure that we align with their long-term strategy to achieve their goals. So that's just a summary of some things.
Peter, does anybody wants to respond to that? Okay. All right. I hear we have another question from behind.
Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Oyekomi. I'm from Nairametrics. Over the years, one of the issues around the financial ecosystem has been financial inclusion. And the central bank also over the years have also made a lot of targets around ensuring that we have at least 95% financial inclusion and then digitalization. But I think it is not, the issue around Nigeria right now is not the unavailability of this technology, but the fact that a lot of people are not quite sensitized about the availability of this technology, because we go round and round and then we do innovations. But if you look at the fact that a lot of us here will probably call us elites, educated ones. But the reason why we have a very high gap in terms of our financial penetration and digitalization or technological advancement in Nigeria is because we have a lot of ignorant people probably living in some northern areas and all. So what, in this partnership now, Providus, InterSwitch, Thales, and every other persons in this sector, what are we doing to ensure that we find a way to widen this net to meet average Nigerians on the streets who probably do not have as much educational background to have the opportunity to learn from this kind of place? Thank you.
Thank you. Frank, do you want to take that? Okay, Tunde? It's an industry question. Okay, collaboration, Abi.
I was actually going to say it was a banking question.
I was thinking it was a banking question.
Yeah. Okay. But thank you, Frank, for rolling it my way. Okay, so my understanding of what you've asked is essentially how do we include more people? How do we include everyone? How do we take it down? There are many different things. There's designing for local context and nuance, right? And I think Frank had touched on it as well with the farmers example. So you need to, payments and innovations like this in payments needs to mirror or fit into economic flows. So what are the economic flows? And you need to go and meet them, where at those points, and help them solve for those frictions. So if you're able to deploy this for use cases that have to deal with farming, again, then look at the populace, look at the people. Where are the vast majority of Nigerians? Nigeria's 200 million. Is it 200 million that we are now? At least the data. And counting, according to the data, let's assume. But the vast majority of people are subsistence farmers, right? What solutions are you deploying, for them? If you say you want to capture a vast majority, but then you're designing for artisans, which form a huge block. Okay, maybe artisans is not a good example. But let's say you're designing for bankers. You're not really solving. It's not inclusive. You're solving a problem, but it's not, so it's not going to be at scale. So you need to look for economic flows and places where this can be deployed, and immediately it is at scale. So things with how do we, and some of that is already being done, but how do we infuse what we're doing into that in terms of making it easier? What are the problems in that space? It's getting their produce to market, uptake, getting uptakers for their produce, because a lot of produce even rots on the farms, before it can be taken, right? So if you solve that for them and you make payments, seamless and frictionless, it will help. It should even help them being able to, reinvest and, and grow more produce. So that will increase yield, right? How does it solve a problem for the guy, the uptaker who is buying, and knowing that he's going to get his produce, right? So we need to think about that. Think of the big blocks and how do we solve for them. I'll say once again, transportation is a big block. You know how many people are employed by them, but that's why politicians, what's the word now? That's why they caught the transport unions a lot of people within transport unions. It's a huge block. What are we doing within that space as well? So in essence, what I'm saying is we need to bring those things home. So they don't just look at it as, innovations for, guys in suits or, white sneakers, that kind of thing, right? So I think those are the things, yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Tunde.
Supporting cast. 1 minute. Just to give it another perspective to that question is to say that, we've talked about trust and convenience. And I think for inclusion, most importantly is how do we also use the existing distribution network, particularly the agents now, to propagate what the inclusion is about. And I think we are not doing enough of that as an industry. in supporting the central body, and that's what we need to do more. Like Tunde said, beyond using technology and probably also creating value for how to bring the non-inclusive into the inclusive sector, we also need to do more by reaching out to, and you know this adjust system where, today the truth is, the adjust system is still more successful today, even with technology, because people still trust that I can give you 500 naira every day and get something at the end of the month. So it's about exploring that possibility and even using those agents to further propagate the need for inclusion. And once we can build that confidence and trust, I think in the coming months, there's a lot going on that will make that possible. But I would like, I think just to re-echo the question, I would like to see a situation where it's not just a bank thing or a sector thing or a technology firm thing, but everybody being involved, whether you're wearing canvas or not, or wearing jacket, everybody being involved, including, and I think there's still some sort of paradigm that needs to shift to the fact that if we need to digitalize the economy and make it much more impactful, we don't even need to rely so much on maybe the public sector, but more about creating the value and expecting that to trigger the reaction and bringing people in. GSM did it. We didn't wait for public. GSM did it, and today a lot of us are benefactors of the number of phones we carry in our pocket today. So I think that's the way to go. So technology will provide its own leverage. Individually, we also need to do more to create that impact. And if we're going to use the farmers, because food is very consistent for everything we do, if we're going to use the farmers, and I think that's maybe where we also need to focus more now in agriculture, a lot of that will change. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank. For the
Nicholson, sorry. Right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to add on, apologies guys, I'm not a subject matter expert like you guys, but I wanted to add on something.
Can we know who you are, please?
I wanted to add on to, some of the comments that have been made. My name is Azuka Modi, and I am the digital product lead for MasterCard, looking after Anglophone West African markets. But I think the team was looking at the question from what they haven't done. But I thought it's good to also celebrate what you've done. And I used to imagine perhaps I'm the one who always plays down some of the things that you have achieved because you think there's so much more to do. But I think there's a big impact that has already been made by this collaboration. And I don't want the team here to lose sight, of that. When Frank was chatting earlier, he spoke about maybe not Frank, the InterSwitch rep, You
mean Jonah Adams?
Sorry? Jonah, exactly. Apologies. He made something very powerful context around how partnering with fintechs, how appealing and strategic Providus has been. One of the things we realize within the industry is that no entity can do all. In as much as we've been doing this for several years, there's still so much to do. Does it mean that we're not achieving results? Of course. So first, we realize that as organizations, we can't achieve everything by ourselves. There are certain sectors, there are certain clusters that you won't be able to get into, but you have a partnership with a fintech who is playing in that space, and you are empowering them, right, to achieve that purpose. Providus might not have a bank branch in the rural areas, but there are fintechs who are part of SANEF, who are leveraging Providus technology, powered, of course, by MasterCard, InterSwitch, Thalys, to take these services to the rural community. So what we've done at this point, I thought we should celebrate, because today there are many, many, many fintechs, technology service providers that are on the Providus book that are providing services, taking these services beyond where we can reach. And I think that's what we need to continue to do. In as much as there's still much more to do, but I do think that we've actually done well. And maybe for this event, perhaps we focus on celebrating what we've done, and then maybe when we get out of here, we put on that cap again of how do we do more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nzuka. Okay. I think there's one more. Someone just sent me a chat now and saying, when can I start using it? Yep. As in, yeah, tokenization. When? Can they go to shop right now and just tap their iPhones? Or and there are so many smartwatches, so can they start doing that now?
Yeah, I think when the clip was being shown, we had shared there that for Android users, they can start now. iPhone is coming soon. For those who are iPhone celebrants, you know, with iPhone, they had to go through some other tokenized way of getting things sorted before that. So yes, for Android users, they can start. And of course, like I said, we'll make that available, or we will publish all the locations where this can happen going forward, so that people are aware and they are continually educated or enlightened on where and what they can do with their tokenized devices.
Thank you very much, Frank. Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, so this comes to the end of this panel session. Please kindly put your hands together for my panelists for taking their time to explain. Before you go, I think we're to take a picture for the panelists, then we'll take a picture with the management as well.
Don't you rock my boat, 'cause I just want my boat to be rocking anyhow. Please don't you rock my boat.
It's called our senior management. Please, sir, can you come? Oh, okay. MD is here, please. Please, sir, can you grace us with your presence? Are you sure we should go on? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so while we have our seats, for those that are just coming in, we're going to run the videos all over again so you can see what tokenization is about and how the use cases and how it can be used. But before we go on with the video, I'd like to call on someone. Once again, thank you very much. Our MD is here. I really appreciate your coming. But I'd like to call on Lee Flounders. I'd like to call on Lee Flounders. Is he here? The Chief Operating Officer. All right. Oh, there you are. Good to see you. Yeah, come up. So you can just give your remarks on the occasion.
Okay. Hi, everyone. There is nothing better being pulled on stage when you have absolutely nothing prepared. But what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. Lots of great words. You know, we've talked about blockchain, we've talked about the metaverse, we've talked about cryptocurrency, we've even touched on drones, white sneakers, scratch cards. But there's one word that I would like to focus on, and it relates specifically to the relationship that Now has with Interswitch and Providus Bank, and it relates to what we provide to the market and also what Providus and Interswitch and also MasterCard provide to us. And that is frictionless. So the removing of friction. Let me start with where I see Providus, MasterCard, and Interswitch playing such a critical role in the transformation, digital empowerment in Nigeria. And they are facilitating for banking services, open data, APIs, the ability for fintechs like Now to be able to access and integrate into the core banking systems of the nation. They are removing friction from what would have previously been considered as a competitor to the banks for a business like Now to integrate into the core banking infrastructure, to have access to data, to be able to provide banking services to the many, the banked, the underbanked, and the unbanked. So for Interswitch, for Providus Bank and MasterCard, you are removing friction for fintechs like Now to bolt on to the back end. So that's my first point. And that relates to our role as Now in the market. We bring on around 5,000 new consumers every day onto our consumer app where they can pay for bills, digitize money, etc. We issue around 5,000 physical POS machines per month. We have soft POS. We issue MasterCard debit cards to our customers. We, in turn, remove friction. We remove cash from our customers, whether it's our agency banking partners, whether it's our customers. We remove friction through our apps, through great customer experience, through digitization. But we can only do this with great technology and banking partners. And that's where MasterCard, Interswitch, the work that we've done with Providus Bank, facilitates for those things. So it's an important thing. We are here together. Now, as one of the leading fintechs in Nigeria and now also in Angola, cannot do what we need to do without great technology partners. We can't do that without the trust from our banking providers like Providus Bank. And in turn, we can't provide and create that trust with the consumers to be able to move them away from cash and to digitize the economy. You know, I have worked in China for many years prior to working in the United Arab Emirates. And there is nothing that excites me more than being here in Nigeria because of the opportunity. Nothing. Whether you're talking about issuing QR codes, whether we're talking about being in the metaverse and wearing our AR, VR goggles, whether we're talking about artificial intelligence, what excites me the most is the opportunity to completely transform a country and to open up financial services to everyone. So I say thank you to Interswitch. I say thank you to everyone here as well. I say thank you so much to Providus, MasterCard, and also Thales. This was completely unprepared, by the way, so it's coming from the heart. So thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So this is the most authentic event you've attended this year because everybody came on stage and just spoke from the heart. So nothing is scripted. All right. So like I said before, a video is going to come up and for you to just have a view of what tokenization is about for those that missed it the first time. And you can have a re-experience for those who have watched it already. So are my guys ready? So enjoy viewing. Thank you.
This from happening again? With Gaia is on her weekly run when her husband calls her. His mother is around. Wants to drop by for dinner because she loves Gaia's cooking. Gaia could pass by the store, but sadly she didn't bring her wallet. The next day, she discovers a small niche brand online that sells yoga pants. Gaia is eager to buy them, but putting in all her credit card credentials takes too much time, and she's worried about card fraud. That evening, she wants to watch a feel-good movie on her favorite subscription channel. Why doesn't it work? It's a shared account with her brother, and it appears his card is expired. Her Sunday evening is ruined. How can Gaia prevent all of this from happening again? With MDES, a complete set of services which allows card issuers and their customers to digitize their MasterCard, replacing a card's primary account number or PAN with a secure digital token and a cryptographic key, giving issuers and their customers the power to make digital payments anywhere, anytime, and using any device. And merchants don't need to worry about declines at checkout because payment details are always up to date, secure, convenient, and under control. Gaia's card details are now digitized into her digital wallet and smartwatch. She feels secure because the image on her phone has her trusted issuer and MasterCard brands. Gaia is walking the dog when her husband calls her to see if she can buy food for lunch. She quickly stops by the store. She didn't bring her wallet, but can pay with her phone. It's a contactless NFC payment powered by MDES. Then jumps in the subway using her watch to pay. Easy, thanks to MDES. Later that day, she needs to buy new yoga supplies and pants. She used to put it off because it took too long to fill in the payment information. Good thing she signed up to Click to Pay with her issuer's banking app. She can now pay in just a few clicks with confidence, and she's no longer worried about her card details being stolen because she's now making a secure payment tokenized by MDES. Finally, an evening alone. Her brother's stored payment details are now tokenized, continually updated, and secure with MDES. Gaia asks her home assistant to order Chinese and to take care of the payment. Easy with MDES. Working behind the scenes, MDES puts consumers in control and provides a secure and convenient payment experience anywhere and on any device.
Ladies and gentlemen, I thank everybody for finding time to attend this ceremony, which is going to be a very short one, but it should be impactful to all of us. And for us, we have started this as part of a Providence journey. We have also embarked on providing funding support to our customers that are into renewable energy and recycling of plastics as well. And this we are taking very seriously.
The significance of what Providence is doing this afternoon may not quite be well captured here, but outside, you have sent a message to the business world. We were doing it alone as free initiative, using personal resources and little grants that we get from here and there. But we are glad that a bank saw what we are doing, and we are now coming into partnership to do this together. It makes us go further and further in a faster way. So what we thought we could achieve in 10 years, in the decade of restoration, we could actually cover it maybe in 5 or 6 years. So partnerships like this will help solve this challenge of climate change.
Today we are launching Nigeria's first eco-friendly debit card, and we are proud to call it the Providence Eco. One major feature of the Providence Eco is that for every card you acquire, a tree is planted on your behalf.
Our story blooms over 2 decades ago, in a humble university dorm room, where the weight of the dark put a strain on our hands, a stain on the sheet where we mapped out our plans. But innovation lit our eyes with a fire, to blaze the trail, to change Africa, one solution, one transaction at a time. Our ears listened to the chimes, the buzzing tune of bright ideas. We stretched out our hands, and remember what we did? We flipped the switch. We flipped the switch, it was no ordinary motion. It was to herald a new notion. It is a champion's charge, your invitation to stand on our shoulders. It is your time for elevation. So go ahead, flip that switch, build that business, scale that hitch. Africa's future is waiting on us, and what looks like the sky is only the dew. We are on the brink of something new, because at InterSwitch, we never stop. So you don't stop. Our story blooms over 2 decades.
MasterCard. Thank you, Thalys, and all that make the technology advancement of our digital economy possible. We want to appreciate every one of you for coming. For the closing remarks, I'll be calling on our CFO of Providence Bank. Please put your hands together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you first for being here. And to our partners, thank you. I know we're in the core of this innovation, but we couldn't have done this without very capable partners. So thank you to everyone, including those that use the product. One thing from all that we have had discussion about today, you see, we're always in the forefront of thinking about the next thing to solve for, what problem we need to solve for. We know for every one of these problems we solve, we move the economy forward. An example of what we looked at today is we don't see it as this is just tap and pay or tokenization. We know for different people it means different things. We think that this allows other people to connect the dots. The people that were waiting for this, for their ideas and their innovation to come alive, their means of livelihood, the next unicorn, the guys that want to solve problems, the things they want to change in Nigeria, the things they want to make safer. So, and one good point that was raised today was around where do we use this now? How do we make sure that the wider community, they know about this? And this is what we're going to embark on as we continue the journey. We still need to reach more people. We need to make sure that when you go to the next merchant, you can tap and pay. We need to bring other banks on board. We need to make it available to the fintech. So thank you so much for coming today, and let's keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Put your hands together for Diri. All right, so we have terminals, okay? So if you want to give it a try, you can just say, Larry, where should they come to? Okay, so there are terminals. You can actually just give a try to see how it works. And for all it's worth, I think there's lunch, right? Right. So there's lunch. So if you missed breakfast, there's lunch. You can just walk to where we have it, and you can. Oh, where? Oh, so we're going up to have lunch. So you have to go higher to have lunch. All right. So thank you very much. This is what we do at Providence Bank at InterSwitch. Always leading first in everything and making sure that we make everything possible. We'll make the impossible possible. So put your hands together once again for yourselves. Thank you very much for coming. My name is Nick Olsen, and thank you for having me. Have a good day and enjoy your lunch. All right, you can also have pictures. Yeah, just stop this. Where are we taking the pictures? All right, so please, can we have the top leadership for the picture section, sir? Wait. Pictures.